I have just created a framework that will completely alter the course of your life if you listen into this. Over the past couple of months, I've been building something kind of like indirectly without even realizing it. I was going through a very, very hard time with lots of negative thinking, lots of anxiety, and so on. But there's a very, very interesting caveat here. I had still accomplished pretty great things. Many people said, just get a six pack and it will be fine. I remember that as a very, very like harsh statement. When you don't feel good, get a six pack, then you can complain. I had a six pack, I still felt anxious. I still went to the gym, I still felt anxious. I could still run a 5 kilometer run in under 20 minutes, I still felt anxious. I ran a half marathon, I still felt anxious. There was something about my anxiety, something about my feeling of like negativity, hostility towards the world, that the world was out to get me, all of my negative thoughts, they had been collected into something that was not so like, it wasn't so tangible that it was just about cutting out the bad things, because truthfully, I'd been meditating for 220 days straight. I'd been posting consistently to my YouTube channel as well. Where was the solution? It was nowhere to be found. So if you want to build a foundation towards changing your life, creating a life that you genuinely enjoy, you're making so fast progress, such immense progress, that it feels effortless, it feels easy, it feels simple, and people can recognize how magnetic you are with your speech, with your knowledge, with your credibility. That's what's rooting for you if you listen to what I have to say today. It's going to change your life. So this is kind of like my story. So if you just tune into this, let me share my knowledge. Number one, illusion of the self. What this means is the illusion of oneself is that your identity, your perception of yourself, it's quite wrong, to be honest. And what do I mean by this? Well, it is wrong because you are tying your identity to progress, to who you are, to what political standpoint you have, to your ethnicity maybe, your religion, whatever it is. We are tying our identity to worldly things. I myself can see myself as an athlete, for example. I did before. I saw myself as a great communicator. I saw myself in a very positive light. But truthfully, that is not yourself. Who you are is the person. It's more like your soul. It's more like the person you are when you're just sitting there and you're completely quiet. There's no thought, there's nothing. There's just depth and happiness. What I mean by this is you can still have a perception of yourself, but your entire identity cannot be tied to a worldly thing. Why? Well, it will make you it will make you a slave to that thing. It will make you feel so brutally like you will feel a sense like you have to complete this. You have to make progress on this one thing. So basically, what I mean by this is presence is the key to finding your identity, making sure you're on the right path and everything, because there will literally be a voice, like an internal voice that will be talking to you, almost like your soul or whatever. That will be talking to you if you are quiet and present. How do we find this? Well, we have to start by taking action on becoming present. How are we present really? Breath work and meditation. You've probably heard about meditation sometime. If you're quite in the self-help space, you've probably heard it. It can seem a little bit woo-wah, wishy-washy. If you're a complete beginner, what I would recommend is doing a breath work called the Wim Hof method. It's a very interesting method. And you can also search up the benefits for intermittent hypoxia. If you do that, I promise you, you will be astonished with the benefits that it has. So basically, the Wim Hof method is basically you inhale very, very intense like this. And then you exhale quite short but relaxed. like that, and you continue to do that for about 30 to 40 breaths, then you hold your breath for 1 to 1.5 minutes, you will realize how still your mind is. I challenge you, but I suggest that you do this. I will link a Wim Hof method, with the Wim Hof method after this. I also have another breathing technique that I've also realized. You can join my free community if you want to do that, where I have all of this stuff completely for free, since I want to provide as much value as humanly possible. It's basically this video, the Zero Theory, but on steroids, even more tangible, even more information, everything. But basically, stop looking at yourself with only like criticism. Because what that will lead to is you will not feel great. So to get back into mindfulness, do that every single day, 1 round minimum. When you get home from school or when you wake up, that's the best time, because that's a consistent time that you can do it every single day. Then on the weekends, maybe you do it at the exact same time, or you do it like when you wake up or when at time. I would say not to do this before bed, because you can get kind of like energized by this, even though it will slow down your heart rate a bit. Preferably don't do it like 20 minutes before going to bed, but more like 1 or 2 hours. I think it's really, really great. Now, mindfulness, meditation. Meditation is basically just the art of focus. Imagine like you're focusing on this part of your nose right here, and just inhale. It's kind of funny because I'm stiffed in this part of my nose, stuffy. I don't really know what it is in English, but when you inhale, feel it, and then you exhale. Continue to do that. What will happen is that your mind will wander. The whole idea of meditation, it's like a triangle. I'll see if I have a page over here. It's like a triangle, like this. Basically, here is you focusing on the breath, number 1. You focus on your breathing pattern, like, then what will happen is that you will realize that you've been thinking. Oh, no. Your mind will start to think of something because it will lose focus. You will lose the focus. And then on number 3, you will realize that you have lost your focus. And so you gently but quietly bring yourself back to the breath. You focus on the breath, you will lose it, and all of this will give you experience in meditation, in mindfulness. It's kind of like a video game. It's kind of like weightlifting, whatever you want to call it. It is like a game that you can play. Now, furthermore, it's very interesting because this alone will help you with anxiety. It will help you become clear, and clarity will set in. Another thing that you can do here is extremely powerful. Extremely powerful. Start small meditating throughout the day. Try to just feel your feet whilst you're walking to the bathroom, when you're in the kitchen cooking food or cleaning or whatever. Be completely there and then. And another thing you can do is just listen to kind of like meditation music and start to regulate like yourself, your nervous system, and all of these things, and you will realize just how peaceful you will become. If you start by doing this, I promise you, you've laid such a great foundation. But this is just step number 1. Let's move on to step number 2. Step number 2, addiction to progress. Now, when we've shifted a little bit about, I'm just going to underline this so I know where I'm at. When you feel like you've started to become a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more, things have become a little bit more clear, you will have to manifest this need of yours for progress, because likely you're a person who wants maybe to succeed, to expand your knowledge, expand your current awareness of things. For example, I just started to go to karate it was not very long ago. And the reason for that is because I have something inside of me that's longing for a feeling of progress and a feeling of purpose. And once I've started to indulge in that in a positive manner, I have become such a productive person. I've become so much more productive, I've become so much more knowledgeable just because I allowed it to flow out on YouTube. I allowed it to do all of these things simply because I wanted, not I wanted, but I was able to express I was able to have the courage that it took to actually express these things. That's what the sentence that I was looking for. Now, when you do this, you will realize just how powerful it is. Addiction to progress. What do I mean? I said earlier to not really have an identity in that form, how you view yourself, and try to be present as much of the time in the day as humanly possible. Now, addiction to progress simply means that you're gonna have something inside of you that's probably gonna feel like meditation ain't enough. It ain't putting money in the bank, or it ain't getting me the top grade that I've been striving for, or it ain't making me like run faster or draw a nicer picture, or it isn't like making me look better or anything. But it is, I promise you. Because you will be able, when you don't feel like doing something, you will be able to recognize that thought and be aware enough to put yourself in the situation where you can pick it out and you can do it. Now, what is weirdly interesting about this addiction to progress is that I've never been carrying I've never been caring less than this about views, money, status, all of these things, talking to other people. I've always been obsessed with these things, these external things. But when I started to shift this perception of myself into being present, I was able to become addicted to progress, because I'm addicted to a flow state, and a flow state is just when you don't have any thoughts in your mind and you're just present, and your whole being is just here and now, and you can express all of the things that you felt like you've wanted to embark on earlier. So addiction to progress will come when you're the most present and when you haven't stimulated yourself enough with the less good things, for example, junk food, video games, etc. And what is pretty interesting about this is that once you've cultivated such a strong vision for the future, you won't really care. You won't really care about the bad habits. You won't really care about eating crisps or drinking a soda or whatever as much, just because you have something that you're looking out for. And of course, every now and then you will slip up, and every now and then you will realize, oh, I haven't actually been as consistent as I used to. But it's okay. Everybody slips up, but you have to just keep going, keep improving. Now, this is how you become addicted to progress. And an action step that you can have right now is to make a habit tracker. It's basically where you do something like this. I actually got use of this just because I wanted to remember all of the 3 steps inside of the Zero Theory. And so what's very interesting about this is that I actually got use of this thing. So basically, a habit tracker will look something like this. It's probably on an A4 paper, a bigger one. Oh, I dropped my pen. So basically, you do something like this. You do a kind of like, you draw like this, and then you have like this, and like this, like this. You kind of like draw, so you have squares like this. And you draw, and you have the date on the side. For example, it can be the 3rd of October, for example. And what you can do here is that if you do a habit, for example, meditation, I will just write an M. If you do it, you just tick the box. If you don't, you don't. Don't set yourself too high standards when it comes to your own habit trackers. Your own habit tracker should just be something for you to track your progress. For example, with YouTube, I don't really need a habit tracker since I don't miss recording. I'm such ahead of my uploading schedule. It's very interesting because I'm almost like, well, what is it, like 14 days, a little bit more than that, ahead of my own recording schedule. Like I've uploaded videos for like 14 days. So if I would have wanted to like just chill, not record for an entire week, I would be completely fine. The videos would be still uploading. And I've never been as productive as this, but I don't really use that type of habit tracker because I'm so consistent anyway. I don't really need it, to be honest. And with meditation, it's the same thing. I haven't been this consistent since I had like my streak for 220 days in a row. That's besides the point. But basically a habit tracker, I always introduce it when I want to get into a habit that I have been slacking on, when I don't really feel that great or whatever. So basically this is what you do. Now, third of all, I want you to leverage something called the power of emptiness. Once you feel a little bit empty, a little bit bored, that's where you will find your mission, your longing, your true purpose, who you are as an individual, where you want to go, your everything. It will come from when you're bored. Because when you're bored, I'm not talking about when you've been scrolling for 3 hours and then you're bored right afterwards. But right now, today, I haven't scrolled for 1 second, I'm quite sure. Yes, I haven't. Once you just flip focus into the present moment and you allow yourself to be a little bit bored, to feel that frustration of meditation, to feel that subtle like twist of like, I want to go and exercise, I want to do this, and you don't indulge in it straight away, and you just let yourself sit with it for like 3 minutes, you will realize that boredom is what creates wonders, because every single little thing will become interesting. Reading a book, improving yourself, improving your mental health, getting rid of anxiety. Every one of these things will be stimulating enough for you to enjoy them. You will enjoy just sitting and watching the birds. I just did this before this video. I actually just I put on some slow peaceful music, and I was just sitting here outside listening to like this type of meditation music, just watching the birds, observing everything, and I was just happy. But I was a little bit bored. There was a slight like 10% of me that wanted to get out of there. And the power of leveraging emptiness, the power of leveraging when we're not feeling well is extremely powerful, because this is the thing. Once you do not really feel that motivated, that positive about your life, you feel like you're missing something. I've been there for a very, very long time. Trust me, like the majority of this year for me, to be honest, to be very, very honest with you, has not been that great. It has not been a flow of like motivation and happiness and enjoyment and fulfillment. But the reason that I got out of it and the reason that I feel so much better now is because I allowed myself to. I allowed myself to have some time spending time in solitude, just listening to that inner voice. And it was quiet for such a long time. I remember like in April this year sitting for like an hour and just thinking to myself, what is this getting at? What am I getting out of this? I was not reaping the fruits of my labor, because it would take another like 6 months probably until I start to gain some momentum again. 5 months, more like 5 months, for me to regain momentum again. 5 months, that's a pretty long time. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not a very long time. Because truthfully, I could have been in this rut for like a year, and it could have down spiraled very, very quickly. This is what you have to be careful with. But when you're present, and when you realize that you can love yourself even when you're not really putting in like 100% like external rewards, you're not getting everything. This is why I keep uploading onto YouTube despite not getting hundreds of thousands of views, tens of thousands of views, even thousands of views for that sake. I just get like 100 or whatever, or only 100, but it's because I want to spread this message. I do this out of pure joy. I don't really try and force it all, and that's how you truly, inevitably change your life and become consistent with all of it. It has to come from within. It has to come from your heart. And to be honest, it can take months, it can take years to even get to that. But it's gonna come when you start to challenge that belief system of like, I only deserve love, I only deserve peace, I only deserve all of these things once I've done X, once I've been this productive, once I've done this, once I've completed this grade. You're not gonna feel well when you've done that. You're not gonna feel at peace. But it's still the thing that you're delaying your happiness for. So try to just challenge that and just accept it. Sit with it. You don't need to like be brutally happy or anything like that, but just realize, just say to yourself, just observe it, and over months, you will have changed this. I promise you that if you implement these things, and you maybe join my free community and connect with more like-minded individuals, and even you will even have contact with me inside of there, you will be on the path to the greatest existence that you've ever experienced. I promise you that. Also, if you feel like sounds pretty interesting and you want like my one-to-one help on this, you can book a call where we can go over everything about this. And yeah, I'm rooting for you. If you want to do the YouTube algorithm stuff, feel free to. But yeah, this is all I have to say for today. And I hope that you got some value out of this video. Peace out.